Should I talk about the abuse I went through as a woman in academia at the panel I am invited in? I am not op. Original post by you, Meldewin, R. Ask Academia. Thank you to OOP for giving permission to share their story. Trigger warnings. Misogyny. References to abuse. Less than. An NBSP. Should I talk about the abuse I went through as a woman in academia at the panel I am invited in? The 4th of April 2023. Hello, I am grateful for how things turned out now. I was able to get my first journal publication recently. Invitations. Tomorrow as a part of the conference. I will be a panelist at a panel addressing women in my field. And the panel has also men. Most of the panelists are well accomplished. They have quite a smooth trajectory. This conference is dedicated to our field. I attended the first edition back in 2018 and I never attend for almost 4 years up till this year when I got a couple of invitations to the conference, so this means a lot. My story is quite complicated. I was abused 2018 and forced to leave the lab in 2018, which led me to move across different countries. I started an activity to get my voice out and thankfully it took off. The aggressor told me that I will not make it in the field and no one will take me. They do not believe in me. I told them this is your belief. But I believe in myself, and if there is a crack in the building will not fail. Believe me, I still cry over the pain and moving countries as a woman by myself with a very bad situation. I wanted to take my life. I lost my mom at a young age, and the same year all this happened I lost my grandma. I was devastated. I am even crying now. Although the successes made me cry for what I went through, I feel the price I paid is reimbursed. I used to feel ashamed and scared. Should I say the story? I never shared it clearly. I always cut when someone asked because of the shame I felt. I want to share this to expose this behavior. I know the rest of the panelists tomorrow are promoting their publications and how successful they are since I saw their shared material, and that makes me afraid to share my story. I would appreciate your advice. Deep down I am sick. I am not perfect, but I did not deserve that. Comments were generally supportive, although many warned OOP that it might not be the best time or place, and to be cautious. OOP gave more context. This is a panel about women in XX field. I am not a random person. I made achievement and I was highly endorsed by big name in our field to be in this panel. This aware of the struggles I went through but not the full scale. So I have done achievement. Nomination, and I think I am coming from a place of power, not weakness. I think. The questions are: 1. How encourage more diversity in the field? 2. What motivated you in career development? What happened to me affected my career. It was very wild, and I know some women experienced something, but they don't speak up. And I think since I am a minority it was very worse, and when I spoke to people they dropped their jaw. The other speakers are just listing their grants, etc. Typical academic thing. I am younger relative to the rest of the panel, but I did something in my field, and this is the reason for the invitations I have specifically in that conference. I don't know if this would backfire or not. I am just confused. An NBSP update. Should I talk about the abuse I went through as a woman in academia at the panel I am invited in? The 5th of April 2023. Here is what happened today on the stage when I shared my story. Thank you everyone for sharing their thoughts. Appreciated. Before going on the stage, one was a bit nervous. The hall was very crowded, and I honestly felt scared about how I can share what happened but at a high level without mentioning the details so much. I started by defining myself, my research, and what I am passionate about, my opinions about diversity and inclusion, and I claimed maybe we are diverse but fully inclusive yet. And inclusion is not only restricted to race but also intellectual, etc. In the last part where I shared my story, the question was what motivated my career in the field. I honestly don't know what happened, but I spoke from my heart without going to the specifics. I shared what happened, and it was a pretty magical experience, and I felt relief. I was crying this for more than 4 years. I concluded I wanted this to be informative for women and men by choosing the right match, since there is no bad or good people, it is all about the right match. Before saying this, where the audience clapped very warmly, I said I am not a victim. I am speaking from a place of power and success, and we should speak up. I couldn't imagine how people were very eager to ask questions. The room went crazy, and the audience started to open up with their personal experiences, and which was warm also. Panelists started to open up and not be afraid and quote my words. I felt incredibly proud to share the story, deliver in quite a good way, don't know how. After that, people started coming and asking and sharing appreciation for sharing this. Of course, other people don't like or appreciate me, and others do not care, but I think I must speak up. It sickens me when you tend to keep it inside and play it nicely to keep our places and trade our dignity and honesty. I paid a huge price, but I felt incredibly relieved and powerful. Speaking up, I think, inspires people to feel they aren't alone, and action is needed on small scale to stop such behavior. If we did not, we are enabling these behaviors. So yeah, it went very well. It was my story. An NBSP reminder: I am not the original poster. I'm glad I read this one. Sometimes the posts on this subreddit can really just ruin your whole day. But this one made me smile for oop. It must take an immense amount of willpower to go in front of a sea of your colleagues and speak about problems which they are either unaware of or ignoring. That could get you blacklisted if the powers that be disagree with you. Major kudos to this woman for being indomitable in the face of a system that tried to chew her up and spit her out. I think a panel about women in the field is exactly the time and place to bring up struggles, to let women know that there will be a fight, but not an unwinnable one. Normalize talking about abuse. Saying, "not the time and place," is how we sweep stuff under the rug. This woman wasn't at the wedding of a friend and bringing this up randomly. She was at a conference about her career, and the abuse she suffered was a huge part of that. I'm glad she chose to speak about it. This is awesome. We don't realize how powerful we can be and how many lives we can affect when we open ourselves to vulnerability. Finally, both a realistic post and a positive one. We love to see it. What a stark contrast to a Women in the Workplace conference I attended, where a panel of female CEOs of varied ages were asked if they'd ever experienced barriers or disadvantages in the workplace. They all responded no. They'd never experienced it or noticed it. One even added that she was a tomboy and likes to go shooting and be outside as support for her claim that she'd never felt like it was different for her as a woman. My table of attendees just exchanged eye rolls, because the idea that every single one of them made it that far in companies that they don't personally own and never once saw or experienced a detriment from being female in a business environment is absolutely ridiculous. It actually sparked a solid bit of discussion about how women who do make it often don't reach back to help those still struggling or admit discrimination issues because they don't want to appear weak or like they aren't in alignment with their male colleagues. That same conference approved the MC to do a survey of what color underwear the attendees were wearing as a method for giving out a prize. Sharing your story takes away its power. As a secret, these things bloom and consume until it eats away your energy and passions. By sharing your story, you take back the power and release its hold on you. The freedom that comes from openly discussing items like this is incredibly liberating. I am so very proud of OP, and I encourage anyone carrying the weight of a shameful secret that feels like they're not allowed To talk about it. Find your voice. Your strength will touch those around you and bring encouragement to others who might be suffering from the same sorts of things that you went through. Glad she didn't sweep it under the rug. Silence benefits the abuser. I'm glad Oop was able to speak honestly about her experiences. My best friend is in academia and she has radioactive gossip about a department head bullying the people they were supposed to mentor. Her cohort has some people who say the most racist gatekeeping stuff. I would not be shocked by what Op went through. Encouraging story. Very good. The more men and women speak about the abuse they've suffered, the less shame there is in talking about it. At my old university, someone accidentally sent out the salaries of everyone in the department. The female profs were noticeably paid less. I agree we should bring these issues up. These talks are often even more informative. Why don't women go into STEM? Probably because they aren't that smart. Only men. It's awful anyone has to go through all that and not even be at an equal footing. Nope. They have to then go above and beyond to be recognized in their field without being labeled some sort of diversity hire. I'm glad Oop shared her experience and hopefully it gives everyone the confidence to call these creeps and assholes out. Oop has incredible courage. It took a lot of strength to do this, but it gave strength to a lot of other people who have gone through similar situations. Oop is very brave. Depending on how big her abuser is in the field, she could very easily face some major backlash, especially if she stays in academia. Yes, both academia and industry are shifting toward greater gender equality, but old-school hardliners still fill positions of power. My boss is relatively well known in my field and his name alone opened many doors when I was looking for jobs. I can imagine how many doors he could have slammed shut with a bad recommendation. Wow, this was amazing. Such an inspiring read. She touched more people than she knows.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.